Okay. What's going on? It's Bryon
and Brandi.
We have our guest, Andrew. It's the What's the Business podcast. This is season 2. Wow, time flies. So on today's episode, Andrew's going to tell you about what he does, and we're going to just talk about business stuff, I guess, right? Is that what we're doing today?
What we're doing today?
I think so. All right. So we're going to throw it to the intro and we'll get back at you. And we're back. All right. So what's the business? We get into business owners' business and kind of discuss what they have going on and, get a little bit of history, talk about some things that they got going, and this opportunity for them to really tell, basically what they're looking for, and maybe give some jewels to people that are aspiring business owners themselves. That's days when we have guests. On days when we don't have guests, it's listen to me nerd out about marketing and Brandi reeling me in.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So today's episode, we like to welcome our guest, Andrew.
Andrew Fetter.
Andrew Fetter. And Andrew Fetter, what's the business with your business? Oh, I'm sorry. Brandi's supposed to do that. See, we're a little bit rusty here. Okay. So, Brandi, you're on stage here.
Thank you for being our guest today. First question is, Andrew, what's the business?
What's the business? So I listened to a couple episodes before I came on here, and really, I like to quote the great Jay-Z. I'm not a businessman. I'm a businessman. So Andrew Fetter is the business. We've got really good at marketing ourselves, studying that stuff. We might have to nerd out a little bit together in that area because I think it's very important. So we got real good at branding Andrew, and we're working to brand that right now and into Unfettered Wealth.
Okay.
Is the business, helping educate people on money, helping them make wise financial decisions so they can have a successful journey, worry less about that part of their life and really enjoy more important parts of it.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
So how integral would you say that establishing that personal brand is for what your vision is overall?
I would say for myself and for anybody, it's everything.
Okay.
Because people can get commodities, they can get financial products, they can get marketing, they could get whatever it is, coffee mugs anywhere, but they like to know who they're purchasing from, right? Mm-hmm. Who that person is. And I think over the course of my career, I wasn't always good at that, but you need to know yourself first so that you can know where your niche is, who your ideal client is, who you like to work with, what area of your business do you really specialize in. I think that's incredibly important. Identity is everything.
All right. Why don't you give us a little bit of history? How did you get started in this?
Yeah. So I got started in the financial arena. Somebody approached me, thought I'd be good at it. I was 20 years young, went to work, learned a lot about business, about money, sales, leadership coaching, things of that nature. But I was really young. I tell people all the time, I learned a lot and I grew a lot and I matured a little.
Okay.
And so I actually let my licensing lapse, and the Lord led us to start a youth sports ministry. We didn't know we were starting that at the time, but that's what it blossomed into. And that was really a period of life where I did mature a lot. And when we felt he was leading us back into the financial industry, it made it a lot easier to market myself, brand myself. It was a different world 15, 20 years later. So that marketing and branding looked different, but it was a lot easier because I knew myself better and knew what I wanted to present to people as opposed to just looking to make a sale.
Okay.
Right. So your maturity level, as it grew, it helped you to identify yourself and your ideal potential and what you could do. So it wasn't all about the money. aspect. Is that what I'm gathering?
Absolutely. So many people, I think we're in an age of an entrepreneur,
Mhm.
right? Everybody wants to be their own boss, to own their own business. But a lot of people want what comes with that, the results of it. They want the money, they want the status. And that's not, I don't think that's a good way to go about business. I don't think it's sustainable. They're maybe not passionate about what they're doing. They don't have a greater purpose of service
Mhm.
that whether it be a service or a product of how they're serving people, it's that end goal of, look, I want to be an owner and make money. I just don't think that's a good way to approach business or life in general.
Well, and it's a thing of also you get in, and it's something I mentioned. I don't know where I was on social media. I kind of put that out there where it's a matter of learning to master the really boring details and loving the process. Like you may not love, I may not love every detail of, you know, sitting down and especially with the recording thing. I may not love every detail of the recording, but I love the process that goes along with it. I love the grind of it. And so a lot of business owners get in, and I've even seen it with, people I know that jump into business or open up their own businesses. They love the fun stuff. The
Yeah.
thing that attracted them to the business, the fun stuff. But the very boring minutia, they don't love that as much. And the reality is, in most cases, the minutia is the stuff that makes you rich and allows you to scale your business up to the point where you're able to have all the stuff that, all the accoutrements that go along with business ownership. At least that's what showed. And so a lot of times I think people get in and don't understand it's the boring stuff that makes you rich.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's something that you got to learn to love it. I've got a mentor that taught me we don't have to, we get to.
Yeah.
But also you don't need to, the other side of that, right? There's always two sides to the coin, and there's got to be a balance. You don't need to love everything that you're doing, but you should love the result. And I talked to a gentleman that he said, you love 95% of what you do, but that 5% always kind of is there or whatever. And I said, honestly, I'm not great at like behind the scenes putting together plans for folks. I struggle through it. I work through it. They come together nicely. It just takes me a little bit longer. And I'm pretty good at being a people person. But that's also something I've worked really hard on and come out of my comfort zone to do.
Right.
So like, I would say the majority of what I do, I'm not a huge fan of, but what I am a fan of is being a resource for people, providing a service, being a confidant, coaching them, helping them get to where they want to go. And then obviously the byproduct is that end result where I can benefit financially or whatever. And we all like that part too.
Right.
Right. Can you have something? Because there's something that just popped into my mind.
Go ahead.
All right.
I know how you are.
Yeah, the ADHD jumps in there. And I got to get it before the ADHD takes it and scurries off in the like hallways of my mind. So you talked about the youth sports business.
Mm-hmm.
Did that, and it sounded like it gave you some skills that allowed you to trade up into back and what. So was there some crossover with skills? Did you learn some other skills that allowed you to really build out the next phase of what you're doing?
There was and there wasn't. And here's what I mean. I shared this with a couple of groups just this week. And let me see if I don't know if I have it right here right now. I thought I had it in here. But what we applied to youth sports, we actually learned in business. Okay. And that's where it came from, was the mentorship that we had in business and just applying it to youth sports. And then it was a matter of taking that and turning it back into the business side of things. And this is stuff, I'll share with you a little bit because I just happen to be sharing this stuff in a couple other groups. One of the things we talk about is practice was more important than games. Mm-hmm. And in the youth sports arena, kids are playing way too many games. They're not practicing enough. They don't need to be playing 60 games a season and traveling all over the place. And you can't get better in a game. You can't work on your swing when the pitcher's throwing the ball to you and it may or may not be a good pitch. You get better working on the tee. Mm-hmm. That's the same thing in business, right? In college, they tell you need 3 hours of study time per credit hour. Well, it's the same thing in business, right? We're going to spend way more time. You're going to spend way more time preparing for this podcast, editing it afterwards, right? That doing the podcast is the fun part, the
Right.
flashy part. But if we don't do a good job preparing for that, it's not going to be any good, right?
Right.
So practice is more important than games. That's a youth sports. That's a business principle and things of that. That's just one example, but there's all kinds of areas that there's a crossover. And once you learn what those principles are, then you can figure out, well, how does that apply to my specific business?
Right. So, Andrew, what would you say keeps you up at night in regards to your business?
There's the pressure of not just the immediate, I got kids to feed, but we're trying to build a legacy. We're trying to build something that we can pass on for generations. We're trying to set an example.
Right.
I met a guy just yesterday. He said he retired at 40 and then he went and started a new business because his kids didn't know, I don't remember what he said, but they thought his job was playing pickleball or something because jujitsu. He did jujitsu 5 times a week and they thought that was his job. So he decided to go start another business so that they could see him working. And so it's giving that to my kids keeps me up. And then sometimes it's just like a specific client that I'm working with and just thinking about how their plan's going to come together, how we're going to be able to implement solutions for them, how we're going to be able to change their life financially and help them get to where they want to go. And I don't know if that's probably a worry and an excitement. The phrase that I stole that I like a lot, my wife was reading a book from a great mentor, the founder of our company, and he said, every day I wake up scared to death and excited beyond belief.
Yes.
And I think that's something that that spoke to me at the time that she shared that with me. I think it's something that a lot of business owners go through. And if that's something you're going through, you're right on track.
Right.
You're right on track.
I'm scared to death of sometimes, oh gosh, are we going to be able to pay the bills this month? And excited as heck to make sure, hey, I have this next person that I'm meeting with. This could be the next potential big client or successful client. So yes, I totally understand that and get that and grasp that. With that, what is your favorite part of your business? I would ask.
I love connecting with people. I love seeing that light bulb go off, educating them. I love the result of that feeling that when they know they're on the right track now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a certain emotional perspective to that, and just being able to connect on that to be able to like grab their heart and capture that. That's really probably the most rewarding thing. Sometimes it's not even a big deal. It doesn't pay me a lot. It's very minimal, but it's a lot to them, right?
Right.
Other times it'd be a large transaction, but we're able to just do the right things and know that they're taken care of and they're safe and they're where they want to be or on track to be where they want to. That's probably the most rewarding part of it.
Okay.
All right.
All right. You got a question next?
I mean, it goes more into the marketing piece of it. And what is your biggest challenge with marketing? What you do?
Again, we've gotten pretty good at realizing that we're marketing me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. My wife handles some of our behind the scenes stuff. So when I say we work together, it's a family business. Mm-hmm. So we've gotten pretty good at marketing me. The challenge is often like, what's next? What more can we be doing? What other avenues do we want to use? How can we reach more people? And then I think a big challenge for a lot of people is just finding the right folks. Yep. So often when I'm trying to connect with people, and I wouldn't say so often, but people are looking for, you're just trying to sell me something, mm-hmm. right? And when they start off with their guard up and they're not open, that's challenging. Like, I don't look, if this leads to business, great. If it doesn't, great. But let's just get to know each other first and see where it leads, as opposed to no matter what this guy says, I'm telling him no.
Right.
Right.
Right. I don't care if you tell me no, but give yourself a shot first.
Right.
Right. I think in building on that, a lot of it is getting the people that connect with you and what your message is. Man, it goes for a lot of business owners too. I think I'm big about your potential clients connecting with you as a person and your personality, and they like what you do and they're supporting you not just based on you providing some commodity that they can find anywhere, like you mentioned, but they identify and connect with you and they want to see you succeed and they want to see you grow along with, them getting the benefit too. And one of the interesting spaces I've seen, and we'll probably get into it a little bit later, but that's why, Brandi and I are big proponents of, you know, podcasting, YouTubing, and things along those lines, and really focusing on being your authentic self, being who you really are and not putting on a character. And I think when we look at your social media and stuff like that, that's one of the things that really comes across is it's authentic you. It's not putting on, this idealized version of you. We're actually getting you.
Right.
And I think that goes a long way to build trust and rapport, especially with audiences that a lot of times are that you meet them in cyberspace. And a lot of times that's where you interact with them, and clients that you've never met in person, but you've interacted with them enough on cyberspace where, they trust you. And so that's one of the things that I noticed about your social media presence is really focused on that authenticity. You get a good sense of who you are based on what's in that social media.
Yeah, that's something, again, just through years of life experience. And, maybe I could have figured it out faster, but I'm not a fast learner, but you got to be yourself. The things that I say or talk about, the things that I say, well, this is why you should do business with me. Everybody says those things, right?
Mhm.
We can do this. We can do that. We're the best at this. It's that authenticity. And that's really, again, the biggest challenge with marketing is getting people to get to understand, look, I'm not just saying this stuff.
Right.
This is just who I am. And you can like it or not. I don't, it doesn't make a difference to me because this is just who I am. If who I am isn't a good fit for you, that's fine.
Right.
But at least understand who I am, where I'm coming from, what I'm offering. And I think one phrase that I've kind of coined a little bit is like, look, if you don't value what I do, what I bring to the table, who I am, then we absolutely shouldn't be doing business together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's something that oftentimes in business, they say, well, I want to serve everybody. Well, you don't.
Right.
And you need to figure out, like you said, who you are and who you're going to connect with. And those are the people that you need to focus on.
What was it?
And
Oh, go ahead.
And going back to trying to serve everybody, if you serve everybody, you serve nobody, number one. And number two, trying to serve everybody is impossible. When would you ever get anything done? You just couldn't. Trying to serve everybody, there's no way you can promote your services or anything.
Well, and I'm guilty of it. It's something we had discussed. Alex Ramosi said it. What is it? Your yes muscle is overflexed.
Yeah.
Where you in the business world, you are in your lane and you start saying yes to things that you can do. You have the capacity to do it, but you don't really have the desire to do it. I'm guilty of it. Brandi, that's why I'm underlining it, because Brandi pointed it out. But it is one of those things as a business owner where you're like, I can do that. And instead of taking it on as an experimental project for you to kind of do in your downtime, see if it works, you take it on as an actual paid gig, or you take it on, you end up taking somebody's money, you get halfway through and you're like, I hate this.
And Bryan is very guilty of it. And I constantly say, why are you doing it? Part of the reason we are a couple that works well together is we do offset each other. And so if he comes through and he's met someone and they want him to do a website, and I'm like, you hate doing websites. Why are you offering to do websites? He was like, because I can. Just because you can does not mean you should. And so it's a lot of times it's for us to run our business is going back and forth and banter about what we like and what we're good at and where our strong suits are with each other and trying to keep each other balanced.
Yeah. Even if you make money on that website, even if you make a profit on the website, how much more did it cost you because you're not doing what you're really good at, what you really enjoy, frustration, stress, time, whatever it is. I've got a good friend. He's in roofing and he says, we do roofing, siding, windows, doors, and gutters. We do 5 things. And people will ask him, well, can you do my deck? And he says, yeah, we can. We're not going to. That's not
Right.
what we do.
Right. I gave you the 5 things we do. These are the 5 things. I can get you to somebody.
Yep, exactly.
Well, and I think that's the thing. I would, like, for websites, like I built websites for fun. And I have one that is in the background that I built for fun. Black nerd talking about comic books. That's all it was. And that one was fun for me. And I've worked on clients' websites that were actually fun. But then there are other ones that I didn't take it for the right reason. And so it ended up becoming, a chore sometimes, building it from scratch. But there are other times where it's a pure joy to do it. And I think having that ability to say, yeah, I don't think we're at that level. We don't have that connection to take on this extra thing, or I'll do it kind of as a spec project to kind of see if it's something I want to get into, but here's a rate either way. I think that's the muscle that I have to actually build out and say, I'm taking it on the spec project and see where it goes. And if it's something I enjoy, then it's something we can add to the repertoire, but it's still speculative and I don't want to hang my hat on it. And I think a lot of times business owners, you do have that freedom. And that's one of the beautiful things about it. You have that freedom to try whatever you want, but whatever you try and whatever you decide to do, you do have to kind of go all in on it if you're going to advertise that thing. So
yeah, with that freedom comes responsibility,
right?
You've got, as a business owner, you have a responsibility to deliver for your clients, but also for yourself. You have a responsibility to make money,
right?
And when you talk about serving and doing things for the right reason, again, if you're just there to serve yourself, I don't think you're going to be successful.
Right.
The other side of that coin is we want to serve others so much that we forget about taking care of ourselves. And if you're providing a valuable service, then you should be getting paid for it.
That's free game. That's a clip that's going on social media. That's something that business owners specifically need to hear.
Yeah, they often you undervalue yourself. And there may be a time when you really want to help out a client, they need it, and you discount your service. But when the discount becomes the regular rate, that's, you're cutting yourself short there.
Right.
And if you don't value yourself, they're not going to value you either.
Right.
And when you put your foot down, you say, no, this is what I cost. Then the right person is going to say, you know what? They're worth that. I'll pay it.
Right. And the value thing is so important. And again, value yourself, value your worth. And, it's a scary thing sometimes to ask for a higher rate, but it's learning to, hey, this is what I cost. This is what my rate is. You got to go through rate adjustments sometimes. And you got to tell them what your price is and shut up. Don't talk yourself out of your own rate before you even get the client a chance to answer. Deal with that pregnant pause, because they're pregnant pausing because they're going to see if you're going to discount yourself. Pregnant pause too, and see if they're going to sit there and take your offer. That's one of those things. When you value yourself and you value what you do, there's no need to discount yourself.
I love that. I've got a funny story about the pause is so important, and it's difficult to learn because there's an uncomfortable silence there. I was training a representative for our team. This was years ago, before we did the youth sports ministry and everything else. And we were with a couple that he introduced me to. And I went through the sales presentation, 20, 30 minutes, and we got to the end, and I asked the closing question, and I waited. And this couple looked at each other and then, what do you think? Well, what do you think? And they hem-hawed. It was awkward and it was uncomfortable. And it got so uncomfortable that the guy I was training jumped in and said something.
Mhm.
And I don't remember what he said or how he tried to like get rid of that uncomfortableness. Well, after he said that, then I had to spend 5 minutes like representing things and getting right back to that closing question. So I get back to the closing question, I ask it, and they stare at each other and they start him-hawing. What do you think? What do you think? And it got uncomfortable. And he couldn't handle the uncomfortableness and he interjected again. And we went through this about 3 or 4 times before I just finally gave up and we didn't get that sale. But that pause, let them figure it out.
And sometimes another good thing is switch seats with the client. Let the client ask you the same questions you just asked them. And the reason I say that, they will usually talk themselves into exactly what you're trying to get them to do. You know, it may not make sense. And they may start asking silly questions like, well, why should I? Why shouldn't you? You know, what is it? And so sometimes it's one of the things I learned from my mentor when I was doing financial stuff is switch seats, and literally switch seats. Have them come to your chair, you go to theirs, and let them be you. And they will generally talk themselves in.
That's good. I've never went that far, but definitely repeating their question is another thing. Just because somebody asks a question, that doesn't, you don't need to get defensive. You don't need to, like, sometimes if you just repeat their question, when they hear it, they realize how silly it is or how not a big deal it is, or the answer themselves. And like you said, they'll close themselves, but you gotta believe in what you're doing, your product, your service. Again, value that, be able to say, this is what it is, and let them figure out if it's good for them or not.
All right. I got 2 lines of thought with that one. And so one, that's the thing I learned here. Okay. So I'm going to make an admission. That piece of the pause, the pregnant pause, when I managed social workers, managed, family support workers going into homes, I managed group homes and things like that. That was something I really trained my staff to do. Cultivate the pause. Cultivate the pause between an event happening and you reacting to that event. And that's one of the hardest things to do. And it's one of the things that I really drilled into my family support workers going into homes and things like that. Get used to them being quiet, and you fall silent too until they make the next move, or they say the next thing, because that's where you're listening, and you can ask good follow-up questions. Now, switching to the business side, that's the muscle that I have to flex too. That's the muscle I have to work, where getting used to the dead air. It's uncomfortable.
It is very uncomfortable for Bryan.
Yeah.
And I can sit there all day and just like, so where are we going with this? And then Bryan will be like, he'll say something and it'll get quiet. And then he feels like he has to explain himself sometimes. And it's more or less letting the client go through and process it and to see if they have any additional questions. So a lot of times we kind of sit together next to each other and I kind of tap them like, just wait. Because if you start speaking, you're going to talk yourself into something else. And so,
well, you had because I was checking out the podcast that Less is More, right, was on. And that's something that people don't realize. What happens is we get so excited about what we're doing. We get so excited about our product or service. And it may be the best out there. We just want to tell people all about it. And that's unnecessary, right? You need to tell them enough. I was training a gal the other day and I said, well, this is one strategy. Use this another one. This is another one. Keep all these tools in your back pocket so you have them if you need them. But chances are you're not going to need them at all, right? You don't need to talk about a feature that isn't important to that client, right? If they've already got everything they want, you don't need to tell them about that feature to just, by the way, it also comes with this, or it also has that, whatever it might be.
Right.
And I think that is one of those things where a lot of times, especially when you're the technician side of things, you are really blown away. I get really blown away by the technical features of stuff sometimes. But I'll sit there and try to explain it to Brandi and she just will blink at me. say, "That's nice, dear."
Much.
And that's kind of that's what it breaks into. The thing I wanted to kind of go back to was talking about the concept of the client objection, especially with that pause. Do you find that, when they're taking that pause, are they kind of mining sometimes they're mining for objections, especially if you know that you knocked it out of the park with the presentation? Do you think sometimes that people end up mining for objections because they're so blown away by how well you presented it?
Absolutely, that happens at times. Sometimes you're just trying to figure out, like, just trying to process it. If you've given them a lot, sometimes they are mining for objections, and I hope they are. I welcome them. Ask me anything you want. I'm very candid. I'm very transparent. I'm going to answer all of your questions. If you like the answers, then we can move forward. If you don't, then maybe it's not a good fit.
Yeah.
But I'd rather you ask those questions. Let's get them on the table. Than, you end up you put me off, and I follow up and and you don't take my calls. And then finally I get the no.
Right.
And
Right.
it's like, and I don't have any idea why. Right.
Right.
Just ask the question. If the answer is no, tell me no.
Well, I know, and I nerd out about marketing, guys. And Mosey's one of my guys I listen to. Have you ever heard any of his stuff?
I have not.
So one of the things he talked about, and it's helpful because we also have that athletic training business, and we do a lot of the marketing for that. And one of the things he talked about in there was the entire concept of objections. And basically, he went in, and there's a whole video on YouTube. And if you want to look it up, it's great. It's amazing. It's like the only sales training you ever need. Of course, he's got to make it really hyperbolic, but he's really playing straight to the point. And he talks about different objections. And one of the objections I found fascinating, one of the overcoming objections specifically, he was running a gym, and it's weight loss stuff. And he's teaching people, okay, this will help you lose weight. And so one of the objections he ran into was, well, I need to check with my husband. I need to check with my wife. And he's like, so if I told you that this program is going to get you to where you want to be, but your wife or husband said no, are you just not going to do it? And they're like, it's like, do they have that level of power where, that this thing is best for your life, to extend your lifespan and give you a healthier lifestyle. But if they say no, are you just going to say, yes, my significant other said, no, I can't do this thing that's going to change my life and improve my lifestyle, so I'm not going to do it. And when he framed it like that, they're like, so it is one of those things where, as a business owner, especially when you're in these service businesses and you're providing a service to somebody, I believe that I'm improving the life and improving the business outcomes or whatever we're working for. I believe deep in my heart that I'm providing the absolute best service. And so if I make that pitch, I'm not coming to you saying I need to make money real quick. I think it's something that's going to improve your life. And so how important would that, that belief in the product?
Yeah.
How important is that as the business?
Again, it's everything. Belief in the product, belief in yourself. You have to have passion. And it comes down to not necessarily the product. There was something you said earlier that had me thinking of it. There's a problem, right, that you provide a solution for. And that's what it comes down to. We were talking about this the other day with marketing. It's not about how good this product is. It's about how much easier can I make your life? Right. Like you said, how can I improve your life? And this product does that, right? You don't need this product. You don't want this product. But if you want that result, and when you get a prospective client to buy the result, well, then they bought the product or the service.
Right.
And it's, again, business 101, find a problem, have a solution. And the bigger the problem, the bigger the opportunity.
Right.
And that's really where I think the best ideas come from. That's where the best business people are. I mean, look at the people talk about Jeff Bezos and how rich he is. Well, how many people has he made rich?
Right.
How much value, how much time has he saved us? Like, I got no problem with Bezos being rich because I don't have to go shopping anymore. I just order it, and 2 days later it's on my doorstep.
Right.
So he earned that.
He made us a little bit of money when I got into the Amazon seller world.
Yes.
Selling reselling shoes, and it shortened the chain, it shortened that thing, and it kind of changed the way people shop.
Yeah.
And it spooked a lot of the brick and mortar stores because they're like, we got to change our value proposition because now we got to get people to actually come to our store, or like we have to offer something that makes them want to leave the house.
Yep.
And I order nothing. I mean, I hardly ever go into brick and mortar anymore. Like almost everything I order online. Now, do I have to go get it like at the grocery store? Yeah, I'll go to the pickup, but it's all still, oh, I can do this from the convenience of my computer. That Amazon, Jeff Bezos kind of changed that world of consumer, or what is it? Business to consumer?
Yeah.
B2C. Yeah.
And he's not the first to do it, but he figured out a way to do it better. Same thing with Zuckerberg, right?
Right.
Like with MySpace, right? Did it first, but Zuckerberg found out a way to do it that appealed better. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's a lot of business. We're going to take a pause for the calls here in a second, but a lot of business is found with iterating things that already exist and just creating a better version of it, a better way to deliver that service, like you said. And so for the person out there that's listening, you may have the best way in your mind. You may have a better way to do it. So get out there and go do it, and prove it, and show them that you have the better way to do it. So there's a lot of money to be made in that. There's a lot of fortunes. There's a lot of money sitting on the table out there. And I think a lot of people think that there's like this limited supply, but opportunities out there, go get it.
They say but as you go and get it, you need to have that marketing, that sales piece. Doesn't matter how good it is if you can market it. They say the richest place in the world is a cemetery.
Yep.
Because that's where all the dreams, the ideas that never lie.
Right.
Yeah.
And so go do it.
So we're going to take a quick pause for the calls, and then we're going to come back and finish up with Andrew.
All right.
All right. All right. We're back with Andrew Fetter from Unfettered Wealth. And we're going to get into a little bit more detail about Andrew's business and, an opportunity for him to kind of let y'all know basically
really what he does
and what he needs. So, Brandi, go ahead.
So, Andrew, in your world of financial services, what are you looking for, to grow your business at this time? Like, how can we help serve that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, everybody's always looking for more clients. What does that look like in our world? And again, unfettered wealth to me, money can be very limiting. It can be very constricting. The Bible says that the borrower is a slave to the lender. Debt's at an all-time high. In general, as a nation, well, I'll just ask you, Brandi, how do you think we've done educating people on how money works and how to get it working for them?
As far as the financial industry,
as far as just in general in America,
and we fail. We fail greatly.
If the average person is talking to a financial representative, are those conversations simple and easy to understand, or are they complex and complicated?
I tried to make them as simple and easy to understand for my clients, and but I know a lot of other advisors who use a lot of industry jargon, and even I didn't understand it. I was always the one in my training classes raising my hand. What does that acronym mean? What does this stand for? What does it do? We need to be able to simplify it for the 95% of the world that's not in our industry.
Exactly. I think of you take your car to get fixed. It's kind of the same thing, right? They tell you this way, you just say, yep, go ahead and do it. You don't know what they're fixing. And I talk to families all the time, and they say, it's complex, it's complicated, it's overwhelming. It can be embarrassing to talk about these kinds of things. And one thing that we pride ourselves is freeing people of that. We want to educate people on how money works. We want to collaborate with them. We want to work together to help them accomplish their goals. And that could be in a number of different areas because of the industry we're in, regulations and stuff. I don't want to get into too much detail, But wherever somebody's at in their financial journey, we really pride ourselves on meeting them where they are, educating them on how money works, what they have, how that works, what's available to them, and helping them level up. A lot of times in our industry, the middle income market is largely ignored.
Yeah.
We'll work with anybody at any level. Our industry can be very transactional, very product driven. I just love building those relationships, finding out where you're at, finding out what's going to be, let's find the best route, a strategy first. And then we can figure out what sort of products or services are going to help us accomplish that.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a huge, huge need for that in our country today. It may seem like there's a lot of financial advisors. I don't know, depending on where you're at in life, who you hang around, but there's not. There's a huge need for what we do on the education side. There's a huge need for what we do coaching people on their money and helping them level up. And because of that, a big part of what I do is hiring and training and developing other people to do that.
Okay.
So if somebody's looking to make some extra money, get a different career, own their own business, and get into the financial arena, we're very good at what we do. We've gotten very good at what we do, and we're very good at teaching other people how to do the same thing and be successful.
Okay.
All right. And I do want to emphasize for a lot of people, regardless, the training is the value too. Training has a lot of value, and appropriate training in terms, no matter what you're doing, but specifically with regards to financial services, that training and having a strong foundation under you that can determine what your success is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that I think we're second to none in that area. If somebody were to go through our training program and decide, you know what, this really isn't for me, two things are going to happen. One, they're better educated on money. They're going to be better with their finances, having experienced it from that perspective. Number two, whatever they decide to go do, they're going to be better because of the things that we've already talked about today, the marketing, the sales, and that's what I know from my experience was I took what I learned in business, and then we ran an incredible youth sports ministry, Unfettered Athletics. And for somebody else that got involved in our training program, even if it didn't work out, they could take that and go to the next level in whatever area they work on. And they're going to be financially successful because they learned those money principles.
Right.
In looking for other agents, because like you said, people seem to have a misconception that everybody's a financial advisor pretty much, or somebody in the financial industry, but not realizing there's so many different aspects of what people can do in the financial industry. When you're looking for recruits and should just introduce somebody into it, what is some of the key characteristics that you would like to see? And that could be for your client or
so that's a great question, because again, the financial business can be intimidating for folks, right? Well, I could never do that. That can be learned, right? We're really good at simplifying that. But what we're looking for is heart.
Okay.
We're looking for desire. We're looking for people who want to make a difference. That's what we're looking for on our team, not just make a difference in other people's lives, but also in their own family's lives. It can be a very lucrative industry. Now, if you're getting in it for the lucrative side of it, we're probably not a good fit, right? If you want the status and whatever you see on TV, Wall Street, that's not what we're looking for. We're looking for real, genuine people who love making a difference and helping other people. And on the client side, the same thing, real, genuine people who just want to be successful and provide a little bit more for their family, do the right things with their money so they can get where they want to go, whether that be helping their kids with college, retiring comfortably, making sure their family's protected, taking care of if something should happen to them, whatever area it is. If they've got that desire, we're willing to work with them and coach them.
Okay.
A strong aspect of what I'm hearing is kind of a common theme is the service aspect of it, providing service to somebody else, to be a benefit to somebody else. And, I guess I want to kind of emphasize that specifically. You would say that the people that you want are people that really have a strong inclination to serve other people in the process of, of course, they want to do well. They want to have the financial rewards as well for themselves. But it sounds like you're really looking for somebody that wants to provide high quality service.
Yeah. And really the industry we're in can be intimidating, but it can also be very exciting. I spent a lot of time in the restaurant industry, and it was great to make somebody's birthday or special occasion to make that special. That was a great feeling. But the fact of the matter is, when they leave that restaurant, they just left with another couple $100 in debt because they charged it on their credit card. Right. And what we do on the money side of things is so impactful. It touches everything, right? Do you want your kids to go to private school? Do you want a better house? Do you want to drive a better car? Do you want options? What kind of vacations do you want to take? And again, those things can be superficial, but there's nothing wrong with them either. Those are good things, but we can help you accomplish those goals. And so if you want to help other people in those areas, right? Maybe it's a fitness thing. You need a better budget so that you can afford healthy food and afford that gym membership.
Right.
That touches that. Maybe there's a nonprofit or a church, and if we can get your finances in order, now you can give more in that area. Mm-hmm. So it's really, although it can be, or traditionally is a taboo topic, it's really something we need to address more about because it affects every area of our lives. Mm-hmm. And if we want to be successful in other areas, we need to be successful in the area of money.
I totally agree. The first thing you need to know is where your money is coming from and where it's going to. And if you can start there with that general concept and general idea, I believe you can be successful with your money. But it can be, like Andrew said, money is intimidating to a lot of people. And so we just tend to ignore it and throw darts in the dark, hoping that it's the target.
Yep. And the scripture says, gets misquoted oftentimes. They say money is the root of all evil. But what the scripture says is the love of money is the root of all evil. Right? Mm-hmm. And if you want to do nice things for people, that takes money.
Right.
If you just love money and want a bunch of money, you're probably not a good client.
Right.
or teammate for us.
Right.
Well, and the way I view it, and it's something I've kind of, Brandi and I've talked about, money is a tool. It's a tool to kind of build the life and experiences and provide the opportunities to the people that you care about. But, if you're building a house, you need tools, right? That's the first thing you need. You need the hammer and all the other stuff, all the other tools that go along with it. You don't love the hammer. Right. The hammer you can always buy. You can always get a new hammer, but you need one to build the house. So if you like building houses for other people, well, you have to have a hammer. You have to have the tools in your toolbox. And money is a tool that allows people to do things.
Yeah, the other side of that is you have a blueprint.
Right.
Right. So we put together the financial blueprint, the plan, and then we give you the tools and teach you how to use them and how to build that house, that financial house together.
And see, I'm about to put a shameless plug in here. So like Andrew just said, you need a blueprint for a house and financial plan, but you also, for your business, need a blueprint in your marketing strategies. And so that's where we can come in and help you create those strategies to help move your business forward. Sorry, shameless plug.
No, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, and that blueprint is important because really, I'll go in a little bit of the nerdy marketing stuff, which I am prone to do. One of the things is you have to figure out the best. You have to figure out your best way. You have to figure out the thing that you like to do, and go all in on it. There's some people that like to write more than they like to speak, and so if that's what you like to do, that needs to be part of your marketing plan. If you like the camera, you're a big fan of the camera. You're a big fan of the camera, then that needs to be part of your marketing strategy. Some people are more into photos and taking photos of things and putting a message underneath. Others, they just want to do a talking head video. You don't have to do a specific thing, but you have to have a plan for what you're going to do with your marketing strategy. And it go, that marketing strategy can help really when you get into the doldrums and there's really kind of the grind piece of it. It allows you to refocus on the things that you enjoy doing and maybe cut out the things that aren't so fun anymore. But it allows you to have the plan allows you to have consistency with your marketing.
Yeah, I'll throw this one out there. I'll give this away for free. They talk about there's 4 levels of learning, and that's unconsciously incompetent, consciously incompetent, consciously competent, and unconsciously competent.
Yep.
And in that first phrase, you don't know what you don't know, right? And then you find out, I don't know, right? That's that consciously incompetent. And then you become consciously competent, and you know what to do, and you're doing the right things, but you have to think about it. And then you get so good at it, you don't even have to think about it. You do it. And if you're in one of those first 2 phases, whether it be your marketing and business plan, whether it be your financial game plan, you don't know what you don't know, or you realize that you don't know, talk to somebody who does.
Right.
Talk to Bryon and Brandi about your marketing. Talk to Andrew about your money. And it may be a conversation that says, hey, you're not ready to be a client of mine yet. Here's what you need to do first.
Exactly.
Or, hey, this might be a better fit for you. You should go be a client of this person, or might be, but step out of your comfort zone and just ask for help.
Right.
And that's a big strength.
Another piece of free game.
Yeah.
Another segment, free game segment.
The DIY thing can really, from a financial standpoint, it can set you back. From a business standpoint, it can set you back. I'm not going to say his name again, but that's one of the things I picked up from Alex. One of the things I picked up was borrowing from experts. It could save you a lot of time because the experts can give you the shortest path to success. They can tell you, okay, these are the things I did and the mistakes I made, or these are the mistakes I commonly see when people are doing similar things. Here's a pathway to go around that, and it saves you time, and it can save you money. It can, it can shorten that path between, well, I'm playing around with this and I don't know exactly what, and then that path to actually, okay, this thing is working for me. And the 4 quadrants, I actually had that in my office for my staff, where I would bring them in as part of their training and kind of put them along that hierarchy, or sometimes I would even have them say, where do you feel like you fit in on these 4 quadrants? Do you feel unconsciously unaware? And that's fine. And for some, they would be in one quadrant and then they would learn a little bit more. And then they'd be ready to drop back to the other quadrant and say, wait a minute, you just made progress.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Well, a huge part of learning is learning all the stuff that you don't know.
Yeah.
And that really screws you up because you learn the whole universe of things that you don't know. And now you feel like you don't really know anything.
Right.
And then the next step is, what do you need to know? And I had a manager tell me once, you can still see exactly where we were. He said, Andrew, you're good at everything you do. And I was a little taken back. I didn't know if he was being facetious or kind of what he was trying to say. And then I realized, you know what? He's right. I am good at everything I do because I only do the things that I'm good at.
Right.
And that's so important. I know there's a story of Henry Ford. They challenged how smart he was. They said, come on in, ask me anything you want. And every question, he just picked up his phone and he said, I got people that know that stuff for me so that I can focus on the things that I need to be focused on.
Right.
Yep.
That's important in a lot of aspects of life. But I know people that if they could, they go on YouTube and DIY brain surgery. They just, I think I can do it myself. Please don't. Please do not do that. No, I think I got this one, guys. I saw a video on YouTube. It looked really easy. And so that is the importance of training. And it's also the importance of learning. And I think for a lot of business owners, that little gap where you're like, okay, I thought I knew, but I really don't know. That's a challenge for a lot of people. And this hurdle that they don't navigate around because they end up doubting their own intelligence. And that's not really what it is. It's your brain is kind of expanding to understand these new horizons of knowledge and then realizing, I really don't want to learn that. I think I'm going to hire somebody to learn that, to apply that for me. Okay.
Is there somebody out there that does know it?
Yeah.
Again, it is finding that person and hiring them, bringing them on and paying them their value. But take their expertise instead of suffering through and sacrificing, because you're going to end up spending 10 times more trying to learn it yourself than finding that expert for you.
Right.
So if you need a marketing expert, hey, here we are, I Sell Words. If you need a financial expert, Unfeathered Wealth with Andrew.
Right. And we need an expert that's going to do video editing. So we're going to be casting that out because we talked about it earlier. There are things that you like to do and things you don't like to do. I know how to edit videos. I don't like it, so I'll find somebody else to do it. But that will come. If you're that right person, shoot us an email, mail@isellwords.net. Or if you have questions for the podcast, mail@isellwords.net. Andrew, somebody has questions of you. Where can they reach you?
Absolutely. So we're on social media. We're big on Facebook. I've got an Instagram. We're not great in that area yet. Our email address is coach@andrewfetter.com. F as in Frankie, TTER. And andrewfetter.com. And then phone number is a great way. Call, text 712-326-9557. I like that personal connection, that interaction. You can find me on LinkedIn as well. And just around town.
All right. And we'll have all that information in the show notes as well. So.
All right. Any words of wisdom you want to leave? Because we've done a lot of words of wisdom. Any little words of wisdom that we're going to leave?
Any more Jay-Z quotes?
Any Jay-Z quotes? No, you can't knock the hustle.
Yeah, okay. There you go.
Our sports team was the Hustlers when we coached, and I got that on my license plate now, hustling. But I will say this: I put this up the other day, and I think these are like the most important things in life and business and anything. As I said, be humble, and serve others.
Mm-hmm.
I like
Absolutely.
That. All right, so we're about an hour in. I think we're doing pretty good though. So thank you, Andrew. Again, Fetter Wealth. Please go check Andrew out on all the social media platforms. We're going to have all that stuff in the show notes. Check us out. I'm trying to build the Instagram with mixed results, but you can find us on Facebook. You can find us on YouTube. What's the Business with Bryon and Brandi? What's up? I'm looking at you. What you got? Something you want to say? Say it.
I don't. I was waiting for you to finish the ending.
Okay, that's where you can find us. I'm building out our LinkedIn and stuff, but really where we're focused on is the podcast, growing that one out, growing out the YouTube channel. Like, share, and subscribe. If we said something that connects with you, share this with somebody. You know, if we leave a message in here, if there's a message that you take from this, pass it along to somebody else, because it's more important for us to help more people than to just have more likes and stuff like that. We want what we talk about on here to improve your business life and improve your marketing life. So,
and if you have questions or something you want us to cover, you can leave it in the comment section or you can shoot us an email. Again, all information will be in the show notes.
Right. One thing I haven't told Brandi about, but I'm planning on doing, we're going to be starting the What's the Business Facebook group. And that'll be a great way for y'all to reach out to us. I mean, we're going to be really talking about business and marketing and stuff like that. It's not the exact place to come in and peddle your wares, but if you want to get good information about business and marketing and talk to other business owners, that's really what we're focusing on. So I'll be putting the link in the show notes for that too. I got to go build all that other stuff. Build out I got to do all the design stuff and things like that, design the banners, but that's what we have coming. So by the time this show goes live, the Facebook group will be live. All right. All right. So this has been What's the Business? I'm Bryon.
I'm Brandi.
And we're asking y'all,
what's the business?
Talk to y'all later. Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you.
Peace.
Bye.